Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, the subject of this video is rather difficult and controversial as far as YouTube will go, and so chances are it's going to be sort of very frowned upon within the algorithm. So I'm absolutely going to need you to just put the thumbs up on this one to help this get out, because I think it is an important bit of information that people need to be aware of. One of the side effects of lockdown has, and it's most unexpected, has been a massive increase in the level of attacks of a certain way. It's too early in the video for me to say, but attacks of a sexual nature, I can say, by children, some as young as 10 years of age. This is totally unexpected. Nobody could foresee that this would happen. But it was all that time, locked down, out of school, sitting at home, on the internet, exposed to all sorts and all manner of things, often unsupervised. This is what happens when you get morons in the SNP making decisions based on their feelings rather than any scientific basis. And they did have scientists available who were telling them, don't close the schools. But that, of course, wouldn't fit the narrative, didn't fit the agenda. And Sturgeon needed to show that she was in control and she actually ruled the roost. And so she said, no, we are closing the schools. And that is what's happened. And as a direct result of these decisions made, not, as I say, based on science, but on feelings and on opinion, we're now reaping a reward, an unwanted, unloved, unnecessary reward of a massive, massive increase in this kind of criminality. Let's take a look, but it is startling in the numbers and frightening in the ages. Young people having their lives destroyed. Here you go. So you can see from the headline here why it is a difficult subject and why it won't go well with YouTube. They don't like these kind of things. They like everything on YouTube to be happy, smiley. They don't like the darker side. So that's why I am requesting, definitely please hit the like button. And subscribe if you're yet to subscribe, because it will help, and it will help this story get out, because this is important. I think this is an important story that people need to be aware of so that it is never repeated. Lockdown blamed for an unprecedented levels of sex attacks committed by children, some as young as 10 years of age. COVID pandemic drove youngsters online, exposing them to harmful content and creating a sense of entitlement because they weren't having limits. There wasn't control. There wasn't control by people of authority. There wasn't control of their peers. There wasn't anyone frowning on what they were doing. And so what they were doing was normalized for them. And then, of course, they've come back and they have this, and it's very impressionable. And you can't really blame the children here, of course. It's the circumstances that led it. So who put those circumstances in place? Nicola Sturgeon and her cabal of evil. Hundreds of children under the age of 16 have carried out Rs, SAs and other crimes of decency since the COVID pandemic. Figures obtained by the Sunday newspaper show the number of sex attacks by youngsters has soared by a third following lockdown, with experts fearing restrictions during the health scare are to blame. Undoubtedly, you've got all these kids at home, as I say, unsupervised, just clicking randomly, landing on things, seeing it, thinking that what they're seeing is normal. And with little sponge-like brains, this is all going into these kids at young ages, and they don't understand the context or anything like that. And so for them, that seems to be what you do. And it can be fixed. Oh, it's literally a one-hit wonder. You can fix perception in a single image. Offences are linked to the use of smartphones are also up. Although Scotland's age of criminal responsibility is 12, kids as young as 10 have been reported for these offences. Statistics released by the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service under a Freedom of Information request shows the number of children facing court over these offences has soared to unprecedented levels. And I don't think anyone who is aware of what went on can say that it was anything else other than Nicola Sturgeon's fault. You had absolute experts in the field, professors, psychologists, pandemic experts, biologists, all sorts, a whole field of every related science. And they were all saying things like, for heaven's sake, don't shut the schools. But Sturgeon needed to be Scotland's mammy, and she did it against expert advice. And so ultimately, it's not these children that should be up in court for these crimes. It should be Sturgeon. She's caused this. She is the ultimate prime cause of everything that's happened. The figures grew from 244 in the two pre-pandemic years of 2018-19 and 19-20 to 356 over 2021-22 and 22-23, marking a 46% increase. And the disturbing statistics include crimes such as indecent communication linked to smartphones, which just about doubled from 56 to 108, while physical sex attacks, including R and attempted R, jumped by 32% from 177 to 233. Of those, 6 were so serious that the children were referred to adult courts. Social work consultant Maggie Mellon told the Scottish Mail on Sunday, "We already know of the toll of poor mental health on those who are locked down. The lockdown kids, they'll never recover. Their loss over that period of not mixing with other kids and not interacting, not socialising, you'll create almost an entire generation of almost autistic children." But it must have been done deliberately. She made the decision against medical advice, against scientific advice, against psychological advice. And so that decision was deliberate. And so she is culpable. She said, "We already know the toll of poor mental health on those who are locked down and the prevalence of adult images and special interest on the internet. Smartphones are a huge alternative world for youngsters that is available to them all day, every day." Now, of course, this is the thing. You've got these kids sitting at home. Yeah, there's a bit of online classes, but kids get bored. They struggle. They're bored. They're isolated from friends, peers, family, authority. They're uncertain as to behavioural limitations and whatever. There's this lack of control, lack of oversight. And that just leaves them with all this time to sit there all day, every day, tapping on keyboards or flicking on smartphones, seeing the most awful things because they're not in school. Although it doesn't help much in school when they're in school and being asked to describe how it feels when they touch themselves. So we really shouldn't be surprised. You have to wonder if actually going to school would be worse. But it's the social interaction with other children, other people, that's the big thing. And this was done by Sturgeon. So ultimately, I think it's another thing that she needs to be in court for. It needs to be a class action by every parent in Scotland over the damage done by her on Scotland's children. But it's sad because you're getting children's lives ruined. The victims, it's sad for the victims, but ultimately it's sad for the children. I don't believe that most of these kids would have done this otherwise, but for what has happened, what's been done to them. Anyway, I'll come up. I think ultimately this is one of those sad events that there is no winner. There's just losers. Regardless, there's always just losers. But it was avoidable. And this is the really sad thing. It was avoidable. If only the arrogant witch had just listened to experts instead of trying to exercise her pointless authority. Ultimately, you could have said, if only Boris Johnson said at day one, we're running the whole thing from Cobra and not allowed regional governors to impose their own rules and restrictions. That would perhaps have been better as well. But it wasn't to be, and circumstances have led to it, and this is what the result is. We must never let the likes of Sturgeon or any kind of basically council make decisions on people's lives like this. It's got to be a national level, and it's got to be science-led. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. It's like I say, it's a difficult subject, but I think it's an important one. And do please, as I say, hit the like button to really make this one work, because I think YouTube certainly won't like the subject matter. And as you're hitting the like button, if you get to subscribe, definitely hit that. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.